Miyazaki, the game's director, seems to have a kink of some kind when it comes to the gargoyles. If you haven't noticed that already, it probably means you haven't played enough of his games. Maneaters are a second boss in the Tower of Latria, and just like the second boss of Stonefang Mines, they are a considerable step up in the difficulty compared to the False Idol. I really like them, which shouldn't surprise me. I began my Souls journey with Bloodborne, and Dark Souls 3 is probably my most played game of all time, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about FromSoft's first attempt at creating a compelling duo boss fight. The fight takes place on a narrow bridge, almost at the top of the Ivory Tower. It doesn't have any railings, so you can easily fall down if you don't watch your steps or you panic roll too much. It almost makes the arena a second boss, or in this case, since this is a duo, a third one. At the center of the arena is a brazier that you can use to cover from Maneaters' attacks, where in most games, player wouldn't be allowed to fall off in a similar situation. Demon's Souls doesn't babysit you. You fall? It is your fault. At the edges are only fillers, stuff like destructible pillars, barrels, wooden boxes in Souls games are a standard at this point. They are super easy to add to the environment, and they are so abundant that you very rarely think about them, yet they bring a ton of juice to the combat, to the whole experience. It's like the difference between having a shootout in a bar filled with glasses and bottles of liquor and a shootout in an empty parking lot. When things break, it creates valuable feedback to the player. It feels nice. Besides the bridge itself, the surrounding space is very open, giving the gargoyles plenty of room to fly around and act like gargoyles. But when the player enters the fog wall and the fight begins, there is only one Maneater. He rushes at you, intimidates you with his appearance, with its height. He will try to punch the player for a while or slam the fist onto the ground in an attempt to throw you off the bridge. He is one of those encounters in which rolling away is a very bad decision. Maneater can quickly close the distance with the forward jump attack. Your safest option is to roll forward or to the sides. Just be careful not to fall off. His aggressiveness is so out of place in this slow and methodic game. To counteract it, developers made him fly off after performing a few attacks. You can try to hit him with your ranged attacks, but be careful, cause he can shoot at you too. One of his ranged attacks is a powerful roar that can throw you back if you get hit. This is great because it shows that the boss utilizes his surroundings. It would be a complete waste of this unusual fighting arena if the boss wasn't trying to throw you off it. Also, the roar is identical to this of the octopus head guards in the preceding level. This was probably done so the devs didn't have to create new effect from scratch. But I also wanna believe that they did it because they wanted to give the players opportunity to learn how to react to this attack before the fight even began. Bosses that use mechanics and or attacks that were introduced in the preceding area are nothing new in gaming. Famously, Zelda games had done it years before Demon's Souls was released. This way of design is brilliant in my opinion because it lets the player use the knowledge and skills that they acquired before in a new and challenging setting. One of the ways that you can describe a boss fight is that it is an exam. I mean, not every boss fight can be described like this, but most of them. So it is an exam, a test that you have to pass in order to prove yourself worthy, in order to get the reward and to get to the next location. And if the boss is an exam, then the level preceding it is the class that prepares you for it. The Fool's Idol did it too. Octopus Head guards taught you how to deal with the projectiles, either by rolling through them or by hiding behind the cover. Then, during the boss fight, you apply those skills. If you skip the class, meaning you run past all the enemies in the level, you are not prepared for an exam. You have to figure out how to deal with a spellcaster enemy anyways. If you don't, you won't be permitted to the next location. Okay, digression ends here. Anyways, Maneater can also cast 3 self-tracking projectiles that are fairly easy to dodge. They become harder to dodge, however, when the second Maneater joins the party. From what I understand, second Maneater appears after about 1.5 second-ish minutes into the fight, so you have to try your best to finish off the first one before that. Second Gargoyle is an exact copy of the first one, with the same moveset and behavior. It is the first real duo boss. Although it doesn't much do with this concept, it does one thing exceptionally well. It asks the player to become more aggressive, to be faster, quicker. If you hesitate, hide behind your shield for too long, second enemy will spawn and the fight will become at least twice as hard. Oh, and I almost forgot, you can chop off their tails. This will prevent them from casting triple projectile spell. If killed, Maneaters drop mixed demon soul and almost 14,000 souls. Their soul can be crafted into Needle of Eternal Agony. When it comes to the tips, well, fight at the center of the arena. The brazier makes the fight a lot easier. It is almost necessary if you fight them both at once. Those gargoyles are vulnerable to fire, so use flame toss, fire bombs or turpentine to your advantage. And of course, be quick, finish the first Maneater before the second one shows up. Oh, and maybe try not to fall off. If you're having exceptional difficult time while fighting this boss, you'll be happy to hear that there are a couple G strategies to easily kill it. First, you can hide under the stairs. Maneater will lose sight of you, then slowly sneak up to him and cast a poison cloud. This will take some time, and when the second one joins, you'll have to hide again. But other than that, it is pretty easy cheese. If you happen to have some bow and arrows with you, you can also try shooting Maneater through the fog wall. For some reason you're allowed to do that. You'll still have to deal with the second one though. You can also use Thief's Ring or the Cloak spell. This will occasionally make the boss lose track of you, creating another opportunity for spamming Poison Cloud. Thanks for watching, see you tomorrow.